Film in Minnesota. I'm Alan Tracy.
I'm Rahana Power.
And today we have Jamie Janek
Woo!
with us today.
Yeah, what's up, everybody out there in Film Minnesota land? We're gonna, okay. What?
Instantly
Minnesota
my favorite.
land, yeah.
Instantly my favorite one that we've done.
Great.
Yes. And done.
It was a great podcast.
It was. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much. You guys
Till
have
next
a
time.
great day. My coffee.
Jamie!
Yeah!
You guys, Jamie's here. I am really excited about this.
Yeah, likewise.
For the record. So Jamie, I'm going to jump in.
Yeah, let's
with our
dive in.
With our
Dive deep.
non-film in Minnesota, it's our film in Minnesota version, but it's like not film Minnesota.
Yeah.
Anyway, words. So, what is a
Wonderful.
what is a fun, random, strange, weird, interesting talent that you have that others may or may not know about you?
This is so fun because you said this is not related, and really, basically, you're asking me my special skills resume.
That's exactly
Like,
what I'm
hi, you
asking
just walked into the room. Let's see what's on your resume. Oh, you do a weird cat impression. This is nice.
Can you do that for me now?
That's my thing. That's
Is
my
it?
weird. I make great. My niece and nephew are like try to impersonate my cat impression. It's a talent. So I guess here we go with the cat fight. Yep,
That was phenomenal.
the cat that I'm house sitting actually sounds more like this. It's very, he's so angry and like old. His name is
yeah.
Wally.
I've seen your
Story.
of him, and that was spot on.
Yeah, he's
little cranky.
intense. It's also really fun throughout the evening when you're trying to sleep.
Oh no.
It's like just, he paces around the house. I'm like, he's lost. Anyway.
He's just very upset with life right now.
Yeah.
He's a cat.
Mm-hmm. I think I
Yeah.
set that up for too big of a thing, and then it was like mediocre. It's fine.
No,
It's fine.
it
We'll
was
move right along. I got nervous. I was like, oh my
certainly
God,
can't
I'm
do that.
yelling
So
into a mic.
she did her
It's
cat
very-
impression.
I don't know
Cat
if I just
impression.
blew out.
So we've had
Yeah.
a cat face and a cat impression.
Right. I should
Great.
meet this grumpy cat
And
person.
I think that
Yeah.
they were both excellent.
Great.
I'm excited.
We'll do videos. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Yes, we actually will now that you've said that. It's a really good
P.S. R.I.P. Grumpy cat.
Yeah.
Oh.
So sad.
Drop the mic. Sorry.
And wah, wah. So Jamie,
Yeah.
I'm going into actual film.
Yes.
You're an actress.
Yeah.
How? Why? What brought that on?
Why do you do what you do?
Yeah. Why are you the way that you are?
I pretty much followed my sister into entertainment. Essentially,
Really?
I wanted to be a model when I was a little girl. She shot that dream out hard because she was like, "You'll never be tall enough," and I'm like,
Oh,
"At least you didn't say I was ugly. I guess
Right.
that's good."
Yeah.
I've always liked making people laugh, and my sister did dance, blah blah blah, whatever. I got into dance really really young and loved that, and then moved on to the music, and then moved into theater. Basically, I did everything my sister did, and she was always the singer of our family, and I was always the actor of our family. And I just never stopped. So
but you do
that's how
sing.
I got in it. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
sing. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. And you are originally from Minnesota?
I am.
Yes?
I am. Maple
Okay.
Grove.
Let me put
The
big
Grove.
MG.
Yeah, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
To be clear, not the Grove, Maple Grove.
Right. Going to LA.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that
Yeah.
is that an LA thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It's a thing
okay.
in LA.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I totally got that.
You were
Miss
there.
Callie. Miss Callie girl.
Oh,
You weren't at that.
Speaking
Yeah.
of being in LA,
Yeah.
I saw on my memories today that 7 years ago today, you and I went to Santa Monica Pier.
I cannot believe that was 7
Because
years
I
ago
know,
today.
yeah,
What
because
a
I got to
delight.
stay with Jamie. So yeah,
Yeah, we went to the pier. It was,
it was so much fun.
We went on the roller coaster.
Mhm.
Really, very exciting.
They have a roller coaster?
What a thrill.
They
You
do.
get to go twice.
Oh.
At the Santa Monica Pier.
Right.
Okay, Santa Monica Pier. I don't know why all of a sudden my
What is
voice
that?
became frog-like.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm good.
And we, because they'd like take the screenshot of you or whatever, the picture, like while you're going down this
Yeah.
one little like slope. I won't call it like a whatever,
It's
but
the slowest.
It's yeah. And so we decided on the second time around that we were going to make like just the most bored faces ever.
Oh, yeah.
And it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good time. So yeah, that was 7 years ago.
Memories.
Right.
Speaking
So
of,
sad.
Cats is coming out. Everyone.
Okay,
Just kidding.
I feel like I'm the only human being that's actually looking forward to that.
I hate Cats like more than
Really?
anything in the world. I think it's the dumbest. I saw it in London. It's the worst musical.
Okay.
I mean, if I had known maybe more that it's the dumbest musical before I went in, I maybe would have enjoyed it more. But I kept thinking this is the greatest musical of all time, and it was like longest running. And I just all you do is like people pawing at you and singing about like different. Like I'm a cat. This is what cats do, and this is I'm that cat, and you're like cool. I'm a fat cat, and you're like great. There's no point to it.
That's really disappointing.
I will say that I didn't hate the trailer. I was
Right?
like, first of all, there's some amazing people in it, and I'd see that
Jennifer
just,
Hudson.
I mean, and it's funny because a
excited
lot
about
of people are like the Jennifer Hudson. They don't like her version of Memory, and I'm like, she's kind of an incredible singer. But
Yeah.
I kind of hear what they're saying. But
Yeah.
I feel like she kind of went a cat route. Doesn't matter. Whatever. That's a weird thing. Anyway, continuing on with the actual interview of the podcast. Cats.
But yes, cats.
We're just the whole interview is going to be about cats.
That's actually the theme tonight.
Right.
We have themes now.
So, Jamie,
Yeah.
when you got started in acting, is it acting, right?
Yeah.
Or did you do other stuff too?
I mean, I was a singer dancer as well for a long time. But I've never had the intention of pursuing dance specifically. Never with dance because I was never flexible. I'm about as flexible as this wood.
She's
So-
referring to the table.
The table. I am a piece of
Wrong
table. Yeah. So.
But what was like your first film, maybe?
Woof. My first film. I don't
you
even know.
You don't
what my
remember?
first film
Okay.
was. Well, that's actually not true. When I was a child, I started filming little films in my backyard and in my house because, of course, my parents bought a like little VHS camera thing.
Yes.
Whatever. And I do remember being very inappropriate films. No, it was not porn, but like one of them was kind of like questionable. I remember 3 specific moments. One, literally, I played a like camper that was like I was being bullied at camp, and like we had this shot in the mirror, and I was like crying. I had mascara, and I was like, I'll show them, and it was this very like intense. I was very intense. We took a literal butcher knife, and I chased my friend around my neighbor's backyard, screaming. Didn't warn them. Wasn't like, hey guys, just FYI, we're gonna be running around the backyard with a giant knife, and I'm gonna look like I'm trying to kill her. It's fine, don't worry about it. And then I quote unquote fell on the knife, which I like. I didn't, but
okay.
like you know what I mean. Like that was
Yeah.
in the shot. I was supposed to fall on the knife
Right.
and kill. Like I end up dying, but I don't die. And it's this whole horror thing. It was my first film. Was a horror film, like many, I guess. And also, we did like a porn scene at one point. I don't know why, but it was my
What?
friend. She pretended to be making love to like pillows essentially underneath blankets. And I filmed it and I was like, this is really uncomfortable. And we're not friends anymore. So whatever.
Can we just revisit? How old were you when you were doing
I
this?
was probably like 11 or 12, I want to say. I found porn at an early age. Let's be real. Not that
jumping
was
in.
the inspiration, but you know what I mean? Like,
That's okay. Got to go where the money is.
I
It's
also
fine.
remember tap dancing on the street corner and singing, pretending I was singing for my homeless family.
Oh.
It was I was a very weird kid.
You were creative.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
was.
So that was my first film. I
Good
guess
old Maple
I've
Grove.
always
Technically.
produced my own things, I guess.
Do you prefer film or theater, like now, or even when you started? Did you have kind of a favorite?
I don't know if I did when I was started. I think theater was always. It's funny because now that like you reminded me about these film events, I think that was before I ever did theater. So technically, I did film first before I ever touched theater. But theater was my love for a long time, and I do love musical theater. I love performing. I love the live portion of theater, but I think film will always be like as an actor. I think creatively you get more control as a theater performer, which is wonderful. There's more satisfaction in being able to really have all of the control in your creative outlet. But with film, I do love that because there's so many different collaborators, a film can, and it can be horribly tragic as well. Like you can get a script and be like, this is awesome. And in your mind, you've created this great role and this whole thing. And then it all comes together and you're like, what was that?
Yeah.
Like that was bad. I've certainly had those, but I've also had ones where I'm like, wow, didn't expect that to turn out that well.
Yeah.
And this is great. And wow, this vision really came together. And sometimes it matches exactly what the director has told you, and sometimes it doesn't. And either way, it's great or it's terrible. But I do love that aspect of film because I am involved in other things outside of being an actor. So
Yeah. And I was actually thinking about a horrible film the other night about like that had all these great actors in it and director, everything.
Yeah.
It was Aloha.
Oh, I liked that.
I kind of liked it too, but it was just kind of like by the end, it was like I can tell these people don't want to be here. It's like
okay.
in the film, it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, what happened?
Vibe.
I really thought you were going to say Dinner for Schmucks. It's got a good cast.
Mm-hmm.
Hated every ounce of that movie.
Yeah,
Every single
Isn't that
second.
based on a play or something?
I don't know,
I don't
but
know.
it makes
I
me
don't know.
sad.
Yeah, that definitely
But yeah.
happens.
It does.
But nevertheless,
Yeah.
these things happen.
So true.
So
Yeah, film.
Yeah. So film. So is film specifically what took you to LA then? Like you decided LA versus New York, or how did that decision kind of come about?
Yeah, I looked at both coasts. I was getting married at the time. I'm now divorced. It's fine. My anniversary's on Sunday. This is a rough week. Anyway, I remember that was the only ultimatum I had for him was like, we're moving to a coast, so don't marry me if you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I did think about New York for a long time. I find New York more romantic, the idea of living there.
It's a good idea, it seems.
Yeah. And I love New York. I mean,
Yeah.
I only lived there for like a month at one point, but it was everything I thought it was going to be. And it just was amazing. Super depressing at moments too. Like it's the best and worst of both worlds. But I decided against New York because I didn't want to do theater primarily. I did want to do film. Television being my ultimate goal. So specifically with television, there's just more all of the major studios are in LA. So I thought if I'm ever going to have the chance of being on Broadway, because I'm not a leggy dancer, it's going to be because I'm a TV star doing a Broadway show.
Right.
So it was kind of, that's why I was like, well, I'm short and not flexible. Moving to LA, working with Tom Cruise, who's also short, and who knows if he's flexible. Maybe.
No.
I mean, he did jump on a couch once. I don't know if that shows flexibility or just stamina, but anyway.
So when did you move to LA? What
Excuse
year?
me. It was 2009. So I was
Oh,
there
really?
for 10
Wow.
years as of April, which technically I didn't make my 10-year mark because it was May. So I missed it by a month.
We're going to count it. We're
Yeah,
going to
it
count
counts.
it.
But
Round up,
I mean,
as they teach
I was
us.
there for 9 years.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Not going to do that. So yeah, I was there for approximately 10 years. But yeah, 2009 was when I moved there.
And okay, your first day in LA. What the
Earthquake.
hell? What?
Really? No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, it rained and there was an earthquake. Two things that are obviously not.
Okay, it's
earthquakes are
rainy
common.
season. I get that.
May is not rainy season.
It
That's
is
the
not?
thing. Is January is the rainy season.
Oh.
Yeah.
Our winter in LA is basically rain. So May is. I mean, there's June gloom, so there's like
Right.
still some residual rain.
Passing by.
I'm doing that SAG thing, your residuals. Anyway, so yeah, it rained. We pulled in with our truck and we got all of our furniture in. And I remember we had a few friends help us, and we were like getting beer for everybody. And then all of a sudden it felt like a giant truck was going by for a really long time. We just stood there and we were like, that whole shaking thing. And we're like, what's going on? Oh my God, we're having an earthquake. It was quite an entrance to LA. So,
Wow, yeah.
but yeah, that was.
They're not too bad, yeah.
No, they were fine. I mean, they're all a little different.
Jamie has arrived. That's all that
Right?
meant.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I shook the earth.
Like, get ready, LA.
Yeah. And then I left. It's fine. It shook
Well,
me.
Obviously, you had a long time there, so
I did,
some people
yeah.
don't stay that long at
No.
all.
Yeah, that's true.
Like myself.
Right. Because you were there for how long? Maybe
8
a
months.
year?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I don't think you were there over a year.
Yeah, and so I came back and I got divorced later. So
Oh, excellent. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
I can interview my
I know.
non-existent podcast at the moment.
So-
yeah.
Minnesota versus LA, like
Yeah.
film wise, it's got to be at least fairly different.
It's astronomically different. Yeah.
Like compare, contrast, good and bad for both. Like having been in both for so long.
I mean, I can't speak as confidently about Minnesota because I have only been back since April.
Right.
So that's pretty much been my experience. My memory is about that of a gnat. So it's like past lives to me, like what I lived through whenever. I'm like, I don't know, that was another me. So from what I experienced before I left and to now being back, obviously I'm a different person. So my experience is kind of just different because of that.
That's true.
I'm much more confident going in the room. I know I have the skill and all of that. So auditions aren't scary anymore.
That's got to be nice. Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm not going to lie. It's awesome. Not that I never, like if ABC, if I get a pilot audition, I'm going to be shaking in my boots, but, but for like, a Polaris commercial, like they're either going to like you or they're not. You know what I mean? Like you don't have much control. I will say that, you get a lot less auditions in LA.
Really?
Oh my God. I have auditioned 3 times at least a week here since moving back, every single week, in voiceover or on camera. And a lot of that is voiceover. So there's that. But there, voiceover, I auditioned quite a bit when I had different specific agents, but on camera stuff, man, it is like crickets until like 6 months. I mean, you're talking like months before you get auditions. So, and when you do get an audition there, it's always so rushed. You never feel like you have time in the room. People aren't mean, but they're just not friendly. Like here, when I moved back, I had people hug me, like casting directors.
What?
Like,
wow.
Welcome to Minnesota. I'm like, I'm so sorry. What? Like, hi. Like, it's been I've been treated like I'm a celebrity here, and it's awesome. I'm not gonna lie,
she
is
phenomenal. But and I know that being that I'm in the age group I'm in, being back here, I'm very new blood right now because the people in my age group that are actors have been here for a long time. So they've seen all the same people. So when I walk in, they're like, who are you? Sorry, where are you come from? Whether I'm great or not, like they're just interested because I'm new blood.
Yeah.
Right.
There, it's like the opposite. Like there's constant new blood and they don't give a crap until you've been there for a while. And then they start to pay attention to you, especially if you're consistently, doing good work. It's a much more depressing career, obviously, there. And I don't mean that to sound negative because I still loved LA and I want to be there.
Right.
Like that's where I want my career to be.
Yeah.
Because I want to be in television. And here, although there are some films that audition here, he's taking a picture, so I'm like trying to like make some sort of
just like my
pose,
arm
like,
needs to not look like
right, like.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, the awkwardness is
great,
over.
Wonderful. I was like, he's taking a picture. Keep talking. Keep your brain moving.
Yeah, it was like slouch, double chin, like all of that.
It's like an audition room. You just have to ignore that guy on the phone.
Yeah.
It's a reality show. Just take
Exactly.
pictures all the time. What was I saying? I don't remember.
Auditioning.
Right. So here it's really warm and lovely, and
they hug you apparently. Yeah.
I have been hugged multiple times.
Multiple.
It's very awesome and strange.
Yeah.
So I will say that as someone who came from the Minnesota market, they don't prep you at all for a larger market here.
That's good to know.
In a good and bad way.
Yeah.
I mean, you want this warm, friendly career, you want it to be, because it's hard enough. Like it's hard enough. You're not booking stuff all the time. You just can't because it's impossible.
Yeah.
To have also on top of that, have people just be not negative, but cold just makes it that much harder. It makes the rejection feel that much worse. And here it's like, every time I go in and I've been released from an avail, they're like, we'll get them next time. You got the next one, girl. Who cares? Like, you're great. Like my agents they forgot about me after like a month there.
Yeah.
They'd be like, you're fabulous. We want you on SNL. We think you're so funny. You're great. And blah, blah, blah. And they're like, raise you up. And and then literally after 2 months of auditioning, all of a sudden the auditions stop. And then a month later I go in and forget my name. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was doing pretty well when you were sending me. Oh, what's happening?
Yeah.
So it's just a very strange experience. The excitement is genuine here.
Right, because I can imagine there are more opportunities in LA, but there are more people that they see in a day
Yes.
than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because it is the epicenter of Hollywood.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah.
I would say there are bigger opportunities. I think there are lots of opportunity here. There's lots of opportunity to work. There's a lot of healthcare places. A lot of healthcare ads, which is awesome. You can work a lot here. There's a lot of great theater community. I went to a screenwriter workshop the other night, and I was like,
Ooh.
this is amazing. Like, there's a whole community of screenwriter, people.
Yeah.
Because I want to start a writers group here, and so I went to this thing and I met a bunch of people, and it was great. And I didn't think there was that kind of opportunity here for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm learning still a lot about the community here, which is awesome.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's the age of the internet too that's changed things, I think, because I remember my first year I had gone to the Cannes Film Festival in 2014, and it was very theater based. But at that time, I mean, like films in the theater.
Oh, right.
And I knew at that time, with the rise of streaming, just at that time kind of starting to take fold, that I saw like Vimeo jump in, YouTube was kind of, they're not there, but but all the film oriented mediums started acquiring things like Amazon and Netflix. And I just saw the opportunity coming about where these are game changers, basically.
Huge. It's a huge shift in our industry. And I know you guys talked with Rachel.
Yeah.
I spoke about Rachel's lovely interview being the first, and she's fabulous, and I can't wait to hang out with her. Rachel, call me. I'm just kidding. But you guys talked significantly about age, and I think I'm older than both of you, so I win. I'm just kidding. But I think speaking on the whole rise of streaming services and all of that, obviously has changed. SAG is scrambling to figure out what the hell to do with everything, and they're working really hard, and I appreciate the union. But and then the whole commercial breakdown has been just a nightmare in LA. They basically decided most production companies have gone non-union.
Oh wow!
It still is an ongoing battle in LA. So all of a sudden,
Interesting.
where SAG actors were making their money, they're no longer making their money because even commercials are being taken away from them, and it's really rough. Great thing is there's a lot more opportunity, and there's a lot more not only for actors but writers, directors, everything. They need to fill all these spots, because Netflix needs all their programs, Hulu needs all their programs, Amazon, all of it.
Especially now that so many new services are about to come out.
Exactly. And so the thing that's great, and going back to the age thing, is obviously that's something I've struggled with as well. Age, weight, all of those things as a woman, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the great thing is, and Rachel talked about perspective and how you can either let that win or not let that win. And she's super right on that, first of all. But I think one of the good things, a way to have the perspective that you need to have, is that there are starting to come out with more stories, and we're writing our own stories, and women are becoming more popular. More close to my mouth, yes. Sorry. I'm going to eat that mic. There are definitely more opportunities to create what you want to be and what you want to see on screen. And so I think that age is no longer a factor, because things are going to be coming out in all departments.
Absolutely. And you and a friend of yours even created your own production company.
Yeah. Gin Blow Productions.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. My friend Laura Hartley and I, basically it was, I think 4 or 5 years ago, I want to say. I had a camera because I was doing photography, and I had some lights, just a basic softbox light kit. And I went on Let's Make a Deal and won some money.
Nice.
So I used that money to buy sound, just a basic Handy 5, something to create, record sound.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, we have the equipment, and we both worked really well off of each other as comedians, and we decided to come up. I came up with the name Gin Blow, just 'cause she's a ginger and I'm a blonde.
Oh, that's cute.
And then her and her now husband created our logo and the whole website, and it's awesome.
Nice.
And yeah, just like that December, I was house cat sitting, and so I had this really fancy house, and I was like, let's shoot some sketches. And I had a few ideas of some really stupid stuff. I think our first one was, well, our very first sketch that we ever did was actually something she wrote, which was My Uterus is a Bitch. And that's the first thing we ever filmed. We had to film that whole thing twice, which was really frustrating because our sound didn't work, and we didn't realize that until after. And so, like, the whole thing, that's why you check the gate or whatever. But yeah, so we did that. That was but we didn't release that first because we were like, this is good, and we want to have a few videos out before we release this, because this one we worked really hard on. Yeah. I should say that the real reason we kind of started was we both got fired on the same day from our jobs. No. And we were obviously upset, but also kind of laughed about it. And we went on a hike, and I was like, I'm going to bring my camera. And I literally just throughout the hike set up my camera, and we did a music video to Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. And it was the dumbest, most fun thing that we could have done. Yeah. And then and then all of those other pieces kind of came together, and then we started making videos. And, we tried we got featured with Hoo Ha Ha had started right at the same time. Like, we were both infants at the same time. So a friend of mine sent me their information, and I was like, well, hell yeah, it's a women's comedy. Okay, I'll submit to that. And we did, and they featured our first video, and just kind of from there, we went and had meetings with them. And that was definitely something that one of our failings, I should say, because we had a meeting with them and they wanted us to start a podcast. This was before podcasts got crazy big, where so many people, which is awesome. All of them are great, but there is obviously a lot of saturation in the market right now. But they wanted us to start a podcast, and we just never did. We never really took them up on it. We came up with an idea. We interviewed one person, and
Excellent.
Then we didn't it just, we both have lives. It fell by the wayside.
A lot of work,
It's LA.
It is a lot. It's LA. It's a lot of work. And that's one of the missed opportunities as a duo that we had, but we still have success. We had something in the Boston Women in Comedy Festival,
nice.
which was one of our sketches, which was awesome. And it's now we just found out it made the Broad Comedy Festival in LA. So that's a big festival.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So sorry, that was a tangent.
Okay, no, but so what's the website for anybody that wants to go on? Because everyone should go on and watch these because they are hilarious.
Thank you.
Or where can they see it?
Yeah, I mean, we have our website, ginblowproductions.com, but I don't know if we keep that updated, to be honest with you. I would say just Gin Blow Productions on YouTube is where all of our videos are. And that's GINBLO Productions. So, yeah.
Perfect.
It's going to try to come up with Gin Blossoms. So just forewarning.
Yeah.
So don't let that happen.
Yeah. Tab over. That's not the funny videos. Okay.
It's a little different.
So, we've been talking a little bit about LA here.
Which is lovely.
Yeah.
Delight.
So when I went out there and I saw you perform stand-up, how did you get into stand-up? Tell me more.
I had been told for a very long time, that I should do stand-up, by random tables that I would serve, stupid things like that.
Yeah.
And after a while, I was just like, well, maybe I should. I never had a huge desire to do stand-up, but I ended up, there's a class in LA called Pretty Funny Women, and I decided to take that, and it was awesome. I met some of the greatest girls, one of which who was just nominated for an Oscar, Kelly.
Oh, wow.
She was on Handmaid's Tale, and super funny. And she played the wife of, the June's new husband. His
really?
That's Kelly.
Wow,
so she was in my
awesome.
comedy class.
Okay.
And she is an incredible human. Shout out to Kelly. He's like, I don't know who that is.
Talking about.
So she was even kind of how did I get nominated for that? Because it was a pretty small role to not that there are any small roles.
Right.
Anyway, regardless. So I took a class. And at the end of class, you are forced to do a show. You're also forced to do a bunch of open
Get
mics
in
throughout.
there.
But yeah, we did it at Flappers in the main room, which was obviously an incredibly warm audience because it's all of our friends and family. So everyone's there is like,
Yeah.
you're doing great. Like, but it was super fun. And I did feel like I got genuine laughs and it felt really good. But I did find, and I then just like dove into it for like 2 years. I was doing shows quite a bit.
Wow.
And I obviously the stand-up community is fairly dark. Full of a lot of men. Not to say the men are terrible. I'm not saying that. I'm just, there are a lot of men.
Yeah.
And you know, I had my good nights, I had my bad nights, but the thing, obviously, I mean, people say this all the time about stand-up, but stand-up is the only career in the world, I think, that you have to fail constantly in front of everybody. You just have to literally, it's like being punched in the face every single time, being like, cool, I want it again. And it's painful and uncomfortable. And I found that I was able to make people laugh, and I did like some of the material I was doing, but I felt a pretty heavy responsibility to like have a voice for women, because at the time it was like there weren't a ton of female comedians, and I felt this pressure to like say something, and I didn't know what I wanted to say, and I felt a little like I was being a character on stage of myself, and I just had no idea how to like find without failing even harder, and I was just scared, and fear made me leave. So I still write stuff all the time. I have a whole stand-up thing notes, a whole sketch thing notes on my phone.
Have you ever thought about doing the open mic night at Acme here sometime?
I have. I've had a couple of people mention it to me, and I've certainly thought about it. It is that I moved back to financially get on my feet, and I'm working like 40 hours a week and auditioning those other hours, and just trying to spend time with my family and friends and all of that, because I know I'm not going to be here permanently, or at least at this point, that's the hope.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
the goal.
Yeah. So.
Wow. So stand up, because I had thought about doing stand up too. I have bits on my phone too, just little things. But I think that when it comes to doing comedy, like how does that work in LA? Because obviously it's big in New York, but like
stand up or
in
general. Oh, okay. I mean, it's fairly big there too in LA. I mean, both markets are large. The thing about LA is, as a stand-up, you're constantly going up in front of people most of the time somehow, in either touching the industry or in the industry directly, or wanting to be a stand-up themselves. There's so many performers there. And in New York, you still have the stock market, the huge business community of people that there's still such a large community there that are like, I just want to kick my feet up and laugh at someone tonight. You know what I mean? Or
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I feel like they're very different audiences. Not that one is better than the other. I think if you really want to pursue stand-up, you really should do both markets, because they're so different. And New Yorkers are going to find things very differently funny. You know what I mean? Like than LA. And so finding your audience, I think if you can test it in both markets is incredible. And then you go to the Midwest and you're like, all right, let's clean it up and see how funny it is here. But yeah, so I don't know if that answers the question, but
yeah, because I mean, obviously you're in LA and you want to pursue acting.
Yeah.
Did you feel like stand-up was, I don't know, was that part of that, or
is it a path?
Yeah.
That is why a lot of people do it.
Okay.
It became a really hot thing right when I started. Like everyone was like, oh, I should do stand-up. Like before that, it was improv. Like everyone was doing improv because that was the way to get seen. It was just another way. I shouldn't say it's the way, because there is no ladder. There's no guarantee. There's no, this is how you do it.
Right.
But obviously just performing is a way to be seen by whoever and ever. People go on date nights randomly. Right. So do casting directors. So do producers. So, getting seen is a huge deal. Obviously getting seen in a good light is a lot of pressure too. So as a stand-up, if you are in a show, you know, I was in a show that Amy Schumer dropped in on, you know, like that happens, especially at the Comedy Store, which is really cool.
Right.
I mean, she literally went up in her sweats and like practiced. I think she was doing an award show at the time. So she was practicing like some of her opening bits and stuff. and I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head, and I loved him. But Chris D'Elia and the other guy that is his like best friend, and they were on a show.
Oh, yeah. I love him. Oh no, I can't think of his name.
I know,
I literally
right?
love this guy. He's like kind of nerdy.
He's so hot. Like
he is.
He's hot nerdy.
Yes. Brett. No.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Krishna? Or?
No.
No.
Oh my gosh, we should be getting Google out right now.
Yeah,
Someone
like,
get Google out.
Siri.
Yeah. Right. Oh man.
This is really going to bother me.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I'll tell you my story as you look it up. So yeah, he performed right after me one night in the smaller room at the Comedy Store.
Oh.
I can't remember which one it was, but it wasn't the main room, and I think it was the smallest room they have there. Anyway, they drop in all the time. Like they do drop-ins, and if someone drops into your little like bringer show, they go up, and someone loses a spot. That's just the way it goes. But I was on stage when he came in, and so he was coming on right after me, and I'll never forget. I came off stage, and he high-fived me, and he was like, "That was a great set," and I was like, I was like, "I'm gonna die! You're so amazing!" Anyway, so of course I became a fan for life. He does not remember this at all, I'm sure, but he was a star of the show with Chris D'Elia. And I love both of them as comedians. I think they're both really, really smart individuals.
So were you pursuing comedy at the time as far as like an acting career too? Oh,
yeah.
What?
Brent Morin.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was like,
hilarious.
Brett is close, but it's not
beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, hilarious and beautiful. Check out his special on Netflix.
Yeah, he's good.
What was the question again?
Pursuing comedy as an actor, like a comedic role, is that kind of the deal there, or what?
Well, I think especially in LA, I mean, here it's a little more flexible, I want to say, but in LA, I think the sooner you can find exactly that razor sharp path that you want to be on, the faster things will fall into place for you to get there. Moving to LA and having a generic, I just want to be an actor, like, is what I went with. I'm not going to lie. Like I totally went just being like, I don't care what I do. I just want to work, you know? And that's beautiful and wonderful and all. But the more specific you are, like, do you want to be on a CSI show, or do you want to do like family dramas? Do you love Disney? You know, where do you see yourself is really important. And the sooner you can like narrow in on that, the faster your career will happen, I think. And the more you believe you can have that. But yeah, comedy, once I realized that's really what I wanted to do, it was a few years in for sure of taking random workshops and just trying to be seen by anybody that I could afford to be seen by, because every workshop costs a little different. Obviously, workshops aren't as big a thing anymore, but once I finally figured out that comedy was really where I wanted to land, that's what I started focusing on. That's why I started the production company. I was just trying to pump out any comedy that I could. So
are you still on that path? Is that still kind of
100%? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I want to have a TV show. That's the goal, is sitcom, and
great.
I want to write it and I want to produce it. I also love the idea of having sort of I've always said, whenever anyone has asked me like if I had all the money in the world, what would I be or do? The Colgate Comedy Hour with Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis is something that I would want to recreate, because first of all, it's kind of like SNL, but like a core group, like the Carol Burnett show, where they had random celebrities and they had random other cast members, but they had like the 4 or 5 of them that were like the core group, instead of SNL where it's a 20 core group or whatever and one celebrity. And Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin had multiple celebrities come on and do things that you're like, what?
Yeah.
And they would sing and they would dance and they would do comedy sketches live, and things would go wrong, and then you'd see them. It was just great. I loved it so much. So that's what I would want to do ultimately, and interview people. It'd be fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
So performing wise, and even like acting, I would assume comedy is like your go-to favorite.
Absolutely.
What about like if you sit down and decide, okay, I actually have 2 hours to watch something and just enjoy my me time. Is that your favorite genre, or do you prefer kind of zoning in on something else?
It's interesting. I actually, like, when I'm like trying to just relax, I generally watch like So You Think You Can Dance and The Bachelorette and like garbage
reality
shows like that. Makes me feel better since I'm single, but whatever, it's fine. But like, So You Think You Can Dance and like the Songland and The Voice, like those are all performance-based shows, but still like with a positive kind of twist, which you get enough negativity in your own career that I don't need to see it. And I do watch like Handmaid's Tale and stuff like that. So I do watch some dramatic stuff. It's funny because I've always had a stigma or like a fear of watching too much comedy for fear of ending up replicating it.
That makes sense.
And that's
yeah.
a stupid fear. It makes sense, like in a oh yeah, right away, like yeah, that makes sense. Like why wouldn't you? But like in reality, the more I watch, the better comedian I become.
Right.
So I need to do my homework, and I have never really been one to do that. I don't know names. I'm not good with that kind of thing. I've never been good at that. But yeah, I mean, I like Superstore, and I know I should watch Parks and Rec.
Yes.
I know I've heard it's life-changing.
Love it.
I know.
She says it all the time.
Yeah,
I can't like.
It's an incredible show.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I know it is. I just haven't really gotten into it. And, I like probably comedic movies more than I watch comedic shows.
What's a favorite movie then? Go for it. Tell us. What's one of your top
Favorite
comedy?
movie and favorite comedic movie, in case they're different.
Oh God. I mean, I'm like the memory of a gnat, so we're gonna go with the reasons and stuff. One of my favorite recent movies, I think I recommended to you.
Yes.
It's
so good.
I can't remember even the name of
Is
it.
it
Make Someone Great or Someone Great.
Someone Great.
Someone
Yes.
Great. It stars Gina Rodriguez, and I think she also helped produce it. And that's actually a director that I would love to work with because I think she just gives such an awesome voice to women. Brittany Snow is in it as well, and this fabulous other woman that I can never remember her name because she's awesome. But whatever, she's also new to me, so like I can't remember her name. But that was an awesome movie in general. It was comedic, but it was more of like a romantic comedy. Probably. I mean, I'm a huge Disney fan, so like whenever someone says my favorite movie, I'm like Aladdin. That's my favorite movie, which is fair because Robin Williams and the genie is.
Did you see the new one?
I did see the new one, and I loved it.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought they did a really nice job, kind of staying within the nostalgic of what we all loved, and then doing just enough twist to make me feel like you didn't go too far, but far enough where I'm like, I like the updates.
Okay,
it was nice. I like that it didn't try to be too much. Like Will Smith wasn't trying to be Robin Williams.
Right.
He was Will Smith. And I love that. I've not seen The Lion King yet. I've heard nothing but terrible things.
Okay. So it's good. It's
okay.
Like it's shot for shot the same thing. Like, okay, whatever. There's
Just
a couple
with
like
real
improv
animals.
things. Yeah. It's like a couple improv things from like a couple of the actual comedians in there. But seriously, it is 100% worth seeing it strictly for
totally am still gonna
Timon
see
and
it.
Pumbaa.
Oh, good.
Like those two together, Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen should make every comedy together for the rest of their lives. I think. That's just me.
That's awesome.
Continue
on.
on.
But like Young Frankenstein was always, one of my favorite films comedically. Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that.
Gene
And
Wilder.
Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
That was such a good movie. I could watch. That's a movie I could like always just pop in and be like, yeah, this is great. Yeah, I'm terrible at this game though.
Yeah.
There are movies that when they come on, I'm like, yeah, this movie every time.
Yeah.
But I just never remember what they are.
Okay. Actors, anyone that you aspired to that you looked up to or anything,
Or like
as
someone you would love to work with someday?
as an actor?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people I'd love to work with, but probably my favorite is Kate McKinnon. Kate McKinnon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes.
She is. I mean, I'd marry that woman.
100%.
I just like. I don't care. I will love you for the rest of your life.
Yes.
She is a goddess. And then in that same vein, Kristen Wiig. I'd love to. Melissa McCarthy. I have a hard time sometimes with their movies because I think they push the SNL thing just a little too much. I wasn't a big fan of Bridesmaids. God, that first scene was like the best. And I was like, this is going to be the greatest movie of my life.
Yeah.
And then it just died. And I was like,
yeah.
hey, what happened? Like that speech, I was like, I can't, this is...
The Gate.
Yeah.
Right. It's not real enough to me.
Did you see Wine Country?
I
It's on
did.
Netflix.
I hated it.
Really?
I hated it.
I was not
It was
too
terrible.
too much of a fan of it
And like
either. And I love
amazing
everyone.
women in it.
Yes.
Every single woman in it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to watch this. Yeah. I just couldn't. I was like, what are you saying about middle-aged women? And it just felt really
awkward. I don't know.
Smarmy and like awkward. And I don't know. It was very weird. I just feel like sometimes with the, straight up SNL type comedy and what they do for a living, which is incredible. And I would never take them. These women are incredible. Nothing wrong with them. But I think sometimes when they make movies, they're not based enough in reality. Mm-hmm. Like, comedy comes from tragedy, real events that people go through. And maybe it's just not my style of comedy for sure in that vein. Mm-hmm. I want to see people with real reactions. Like, I'm sorry, what? Like, why are you doing that? Just some of it sometimes is a little too much and big and like, really, did that happen?
Too
like,
forced.
Come on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's too forced. Okay. So anyway. Okay. Yeah, I didn't like it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
But it was the same. Yeah,
but that's
I agree.
What's awesome about like creativity and what's awesome about film and what's awesome about the careers we've chosen, because no matter what, there's a group out there that's going to like what you do. And no matter what, there's a group out there that's going to hate what you do. Mm-hmm. You're never going to make everyone happy, and you're never going to hit all the marks. They talk about the 4 quadrants in film, and it's like, that's so rare to hit all of that. Yeah. I think at the Screenwriters Workshop, they talked about how like Pixar is one of the only things that can kind of hit the 4 quadrants of people, because it's, generally universal themes and whatever. But I think that you're doing yourself a disservice if you try to please everybody.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's common sense, I guess. I'm not saying anything grand.
Common sense, but something that I think 99% of people forget on a daily basis. Right.
So literally, you can keep fighting that battle all your life, but you're never going to win. Right. Never, ever. Give it up.
Not going to happen.
You got to find your people, Anyway.
So important.
And you have to be, as a writer too, or filmmaker or actor, whatever, you have to be true to yourself in some way.
Totally.
Because otherwise, it will be like Wine Country was for you. It was just kind of like, I don't know. But like you said too, it may be just a different way they do comedy or whatever, So.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like people, I don't know why stand-up is always the most fascinating thing I do, but even though I did it for a very small amount of time, and I would still say that I'm a baby in stand-up, I get the most requests for like, how do I get started? Or like, how did you, whatever. And I think that it kind of goes to say, like, my advice always is similar to what I would say to anybody who's trying to create anything, is that the more specific to your story you are, the more successful you'll be. If you try to be generic and you try to wash it down, like be like, well, that doesn't fit to this market, or this person's not going to understand it. Well, you lived it. So if you write it, like they always say, write what you know. Not that you can't write fantasy and do all this stuff, but like if you ground them with something that you're familiar with,
that's it.
That someone else is also going to be familiar with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be grounded in some part of reality a little bit.
And something that people can relate to, so that they cling to it.
Right.
In some way. That makes sense.
Yeah. So when it comes to writing, are you writing something now? You're talking about the show that you were kind of aspiring for.
Yeah, I've I've started many a project. I have a short film that's a silent short film that I actually have been wanting to actually film here in Minnesota.
Ooh.
So
you hear that, Minnesota?
Come at me, everybody. It's very like Tim Burton-esque looking, and it's there's like a special effect with ripping your heart out sort of thing where I want it to look grotesque. Anyway, it's about dating. It's about love.
Without the words.
Without the words. So it's a quirky little silent film that I feel like it's kind of like my horror. A lot of people start with horror because, not that it's easy, because it's not easy, but there is, like lighting is easier. Like some of the elements of horror are easier. And so this is that's the one that I feel like I can make and do all of the learning on. You know what I mean? Because I do want to produce it and be really heavily involved in that portion of it so that I can really understand all of the aspects, because I still don't on a grand level. And then I have a feature film I wrote called Sunny with a Chance of Jade.
Oh.
And it's horrible right now. I'm not going to lie. It's done. It's at its, like, I very much wrote it to, like, sell to Hallmark or, you know, some sort of Lifetime. Like, I wrote it in that vein. I was asked by a manager once to write a Christmas film. I missed the mark, obviously. Grand, because I never finished it in time to send it to him. And I'm glad I didn't, because first of all, I'm glad I started it. But it is also a project that I started, not that it's not personal, and it's literally based on a literal date that I went on that I've just expanded into this giant thing. This guy's going to be real surprised when this comes out. He's going to be like, you obsessed. And I'm like, it's fine. I'm not, but he had a really fun name, and we had this like really, it was one of those nights that you're like, you meet someone, you're like, what is this? And then you never see him again. It's great. Yeah. So yeah, I wrote that film, and it just needs so many more drafts before it's really done. It's got a lot of holes. And then I have 2 pilots that I've, one that's the pilot is written, and I have an outline. That's my baby. Like, that one is the one that I want to be the star of, and I want it to be a big deal. Like, that one I won't part with. Yeah. It's called Assisting an Idiot. And it's about a girl who's in stand-up. It's kind of Seinfeld meets 3 Men and a Baby. So she's an assistant for a woman who is in her 40s and all of a sudden wants a baby, and she's her assistant. She's very wealthy. She's Kardashian-ish, but like not in a way that like you hate her. I mean, not that everyone hates the Kardashians, but because obviously they're incredibly popular, so somebody likes them out there. But they also have a lot of hate, and I think that this woman sort of lands in that general region, and we end up getting a surrogate, and you know, like going through the whole process. But each episode is like a different thing, like where I set her up on dates, but I have to be there for them. And but then at night I go do stand up, and I'm very bad. And my brother lives in, there's all kinds of things. Yeah. So lots of twists and turns. Yeah. But it's fun. It's a fun comedy.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. And then I have another one about my, like a dark comedy about this woman who, because I think about alcoholism a lot. This is a weird transition. But I think about alcohol and its role in especially nowadays in our society, and how you're kind of the weird one if you're sober. Yeah. And so I have a pilot called I Killed My BFF, and it's about a girl who literally kills her best friend in a car accident because she's drunk, and she goes to jail. And I've like set it in Chicago because the like it's her first offense, and she's just like young enough where it's like she's still gonna go to jail, but like not probably a long time. Yeah. So she gets out in her like late 20s, early 30s, and has a record, works in a candy shop because that's all she can get, and she sees her BFF. So her best friend is a ghost in her life, which sounds really cheesy, but like basically the more she heals, the less she sees her. And so it's this whole like conundrum of, I'm telling everyone in the world like what my pilots are. It's fine. I've already like done the script, so fuck you.
A little pitch session.
Yeah. They're in the Writers Guild. So don't steal my ideas. Okay, bye.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a lot of really good stuff like kind of set up and that you're working on like on the table, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's intimidating because I don't consider myself a writer, so even though I've written things. But I don't I never studied it. I actually bought a bunch of books at the Screenwriters Workshop, which I'm super excited to get more involved in. I'll plug them, screenwritersworkshop.org. Go check them out here in Minnesota. Yes. They're fabulous. Really, really nice people that run that. So anyway.
But that's interesting. So like, it's good to hear that you've been writing for a while already, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I started writing was The Assisting an Idiot. And I started writing that, I think 7 years ago. I came up with the pilot at work and started slowly developing it and writing it, and then I didn't look at it for a year and a half or 2 years, and you know, back and forth of things, and then I decided to write the feature because I wanted to have something I could sell so that eventually I could make the other one. Right. It's all about tactics. Yeah.
But
So,
you're
smart.
also becoming aware of the fact that, like, for filmmakers especially, they're with these projects for years.
Totally.
And you understand that, obviously, as an actor and going to these auditions where it's like they're looking for an actor to play this role that's, like, been
Yeah.
a part of their life for a long time.
Yeah, it is. It's what's great about having your hand in all the pots, even for a brief time, to understand like what each person goes through. Because like filming, because I physically film all of our stuff for Gin Blow, and it's exhausting. Like setting up the camera, setting up the lights,
Yeah.
and like making sure it's right. And like I really want this shot to look better, and I don't know how to make it look better because my knowledge base is only up to here, and who knows. And the post is the worst. I hate post-production more than anything. I can edit. I hate editing.
Yeah.
I will film all day, but I hate editing. It's the worst. You know, and I'm learning less about sound, just enough to make it sound like not terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to know all of because you're right. Like people will live with these like children essentially in them, and you have a very specific idea. But I think what I've learned that I think will make my projects not better, but I'm more flexible is that I do know that. And I also know the magic of being in a room and having an actor walk in and blow you out of the water and be like, you brought this to a life that I didn't even see. And I
Right.
think that's what's great about, again, going back to what I said about being part of film, is that if you have a little bit of looseness, you can create something together, and that's what's incredible. So
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
do
Because I know that with like Denzel Washington, when he did his first film, Antoine Fisher, it was he had a hard time with it because it was like he'd always act and then he'd go behind the camera and check it out, see how it's looking, go back in front. It's like I couldn't imagine doing that.
Yeah, it's exhausting. Because by the time I got everything set up, I feel drained, and then I have to get in front of the camera and like be funny.
Yeah.
And I'm really lucky to have Laura and as a production partner, because not only is she incredible to work with, but she's also equal in terms of helping. Because sometimes you film, like ever since I started filming stuff, there are the people that come up to you and like, oh my God, like if you're ever doing something, you should just let me know. And like, oh my God, like you should cast me in your thing, you know? And I'm like, cool. Do you do anything else? Because when you start working on your own projects, people will leech off of you and want you to like, and I don't mind doing stuff for free. I mean, I've done free stuff for a long, long time. If I believe in the project, I will be part of something. But it is frustrating because it's physically a lot of work.
Yeah.
And also the post. My least favorite thing in the whole world, and I will give this out to actors everywhere. If you do a project with someone, feel free to check in on something. But if you hound someone about their photography or film and you got it for free, you could go fuck yourself. I'm going to go ahead and say that because I hate people like that. It makes me violently angry when I have filmed something for free and you start coming at me like, when is that footage going to be? Especially when it's like a week later. I want to be like, do you think I have just all the time in the world? Get the fuck out of here. Like, you want to edit it? Get out.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, because you multiply, because it's almost like, okay, you have your life.
Right.
Now add a layer of this and that and this. And,
Right.
you know, then
and
you'll
it was
know.
free. And I'm going to do it when I do it. Like, you will get that footage when I give it to you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if there has been like a hire and a paid and like and also if they've given you a projection, and as an actor, you also, I think, have every right to have the director or whoever has cast you, especially when it's a student film or something you're doing for free, you have every right to bring your own contract. I was told this really early on, and have them sign it and say, whatever happens within a certain amount of time, I either get a project or I get raw footage.
Yeah.
Because sometimes students don't finish their films, and then you've worked for free and for nothing and no product.
Yeah.
So I think it's important on both ends to be respectful of each other.
Right.
But still, oh man, that makes me very mad.
Yeah, because if you're an independent filmmaker, it's just that.
Yeah.
You're independent. It's, you know, you're not a studio. You're not a, you know, whatever entity that can pump it out, a feature like Endgame in 2 years.
Right.
It's like you don't have $1 billion, you know. It's
Or 75 people working for you that are
Right.
going to finish the project that you started. It's just, you know.
for all those people that do that, they should have to go to like Endgame or something and sit there for 10 minutes while the credits roll and look at all of those names. Because that's
movie.
how, like that is how all of those things can get done as fast as they do.
And those take years too.
Yeah.
I mean, people think, like, those are so fast, and like they've been filming for a long time, and it takes a long time. And it's frustrating because as an actor, especially when you're getting started, you want footage. You're like hungry for footage for a reel because you need a reel. Blah, blah, blah. And like I get it. Yeah. And then you do get footage, and you're like, this is garbage footage. Great. Can't use this, and then you have another 6 months before you can get anything else. Yeah. Which is why it's great that iPhones have the capability they have, and all of that. Like. Go get it done. Yeah. Go to a real place. Just get some footage of yourself.
Exactly.
But anyway, I digress.
The last feature I worked on, or the first feature I worked on for myself, was shot on the iPhone. So it was like one of those experimental things. But it's tough too. It's still editing. It's still a film. And you got to still find a way to keep your iPhone steady. And all of that. And like, how do you do zoom shots? Are you, like on a skateboard? Then what do you do with sound? Like, there's so many things where if you can get creative and still get really cool shots with, as people have said for a long time, although you can have the best equipment in the world and still make a shitty movie. Or you can have the shittiest equipment in the world and have the vision to make a really beautiful project. So it really isn't about having the stuff. It's helpful. I'm not going to deny that having a really solid camera is not going to be helpful if you also have vision. Yeah. But you can still do good stuff with your iPhone.
Absolutely.
That's what's great, the saturation of the market. Yeah.
So, Jamie.
Yeah.
You're in Minnesota right now, hoping to get back to LA as soon as possible.
Or Atlanta or New York. It's still up in the air as to where the next step is, but yeah.
What do you want people to kind of remember about you as a creator, as an actress, as Jamie?
I mean, I think that I work really hard, and that I'm dedicated, I'm loyal, and I'm kind. I try to be kind, and I think that's obviously a life goal, You want at your funeral to people think that you were a good person, I guess. I think that's really it. That I'm funny. I want you to think I'm funny as fuck.
You are. She is.
She is.
She's hilarious, you guys.
Yeah.
And lastly, the question, why? Why do you do what you do? What's your why?
Yeah.
I couldn't not do what I do. I have been faced and gone through homelessness is a big word, but gypsy life twice. I've been without a home to pursue this career. I really just can't imagine doing anything else. It brings me more joy than I've been able to experience anywhere else, even in an audition room now, which is great because I think that you sometimes forget that you can experience it in an audition room. I just get so much out of it. I love making people laugh. There's nothing else I can do. I don't know if that's a good enough why, but
absolutely. Yes. That's probably the best why. Cause if you can see yourself doing something else, you should probably just do something else, and this should be a hobby.
Yeah. And that's a hard thing to say, and people don't want to hear that.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
It is true. And I think I will say this, I didn't always feel that way. I was scared for a long, long time to admit that this was the only thing I knew and would want to do. And it wasn't until I was faced with no apartment and had no money and was like, how do I stay here and keep doing this? That I knew that it's all I want to do. Like, I would live on the streets to perform for people. Like, it just, I love it so much. Like, I don't have a family. I don't have pets. I don't want any of that. Like, if I could perform for the rest of my life, that is my marriage. Do I want a partner? Sure. Why not? But to share it, but ultimately, that's all I need in this life, Yeah. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and being here with us.
Thank you for
really
having
appreciate
me.
it.
This was so fun.
It was. And it was so good to see you.
You too.
Yeah. All right. And thanks for everybody joining us this week. We appreciate you.
Yeah. And I'm Alan Tracy.
I'm Rahana.
And this is Film in Minnesota. See you guys next time.